back before we get started up. Test. See how things. Still having troubles. Around. See their issue. Looks like we mostly did. Background. But we have fixed our frame rate and like we things don't look smooth or end, just let me know. Have the chat up. Looks like I do have. Give me just one moment. I'm going to see if I can't fix this black bar, which is on the side of it. Alright, everybody. Well, thanks for your patience while ironed out a few of the bugs. Haven't streamed off of the machine in quite some time. But what we are doing today is we're playing some Diablo 3 Ultimate Edition on Xbox One. Originally am a PC player since the original Diablo, including the original Diablo 3 on PC, which if you ever played it when it first came out, you understand that it wasn't exactly the most ideal experience, especially if you had played the first two. Not to say that it wasn't good, just didn't deliver on what a lot of people expected as far as things like getting legendary. Okay, so we're going to go right into a greater rift, which of course starts immediately. I'd like to adjust my microphone. Give me Sorry for any noises. Cast a little bit of shadow with that. And hopefully all of these sounds are going through. I'm not actually able to test that very well. Device here. If I can get some. Of course, there is always one more moment and we will get into it. Like we have a couple people. Thank you for your patience. So it looks like everything's good. Joys of an iPad. All right. So this character, when I first started playing on the Xbox, I have to admit, wasn't expecting to like it. Compared to the PC version, the user interface was completely different. It seemed very scaled down. It's kid-like in some ways. And over time it grew on me in more ways than one. Especially going back and playing the PC version after having played this version. This is a much more faster paced game, which feels that it actually fits the Diablo formula better than the original point and click and point and click and point and click. There are a couple. Lost my stream one there. There are a couple differences. One of the most notable ones is on the console. You can actually dodge, which does come in handy, and is one of the things that I particularly missed when I went back to playing on PC. I'm sorry if the sound balance isn't very good. I also understand that you guys can probably hear my controller right now. I need to do a little bit of work on that. I could always put this. But in essence, the Crusader that I came up with when I was playing on the Xbox One was very fortunate in what particular legendaries dropped and how they all went together. When I went back to play on the original PC, I was not able to get even half of those items, and I suddenly found myself doing, well, 1/100th of the damage that I was doing previously, if not less than that, as I was routinely used to doing in some situations close to 1 billion damage at once, considered the amount of damage added up for everybody on the screen if you actually turn on damage numbers. Looking at the meters, and it's looking like the game might be a little loud. Losing some time here, but so the interesting thing about these rifts is that they give you 15 minutes to do them. At least I believe it's 15 minutes. But in general, if I can't feed it in 5 or close to 5, I consider that meaning that I have something wrong with my build. Not killing things fast enough, and that's how you get the particularly large experience bonuses in the billions, usually 2 or 3 billion experience. And I haven't played this in a while. I am Paragon 400 and something, 414. And so obviously people who kept on playing after the Necromancer expansion came out, which was right around the time that I stopped playing, are going to be much higher level. But what I was always told is my ability to blow through level 55 greater rifts in 5 minutes or less, with Paragon level of at the time below 400, was noteworthy, and that was a nice thing to hear from some friends who are actually professional gamers. I am certainly not a professional gamer. There are some games which I am good at, and some games that I'm really bad at. In general, if it's a multiplayer game, I'll be smack dab in the middle of the rankings pretty consistently, middle of the bell curve. But had this character been made seasonal and been able to actually compete in rankings, I was told I probably would have been one of the top contenders. As a matter of fact, one of my friends who did do it competitively, although I don't believe actually for money with this game, spent a good couple months trying to recreate the items in my build without much luck. You could say it might have even led to a little bit of animosity. But, you know, shortly after that I got more into game development. I'm actually an indie game developer working on a VR project. This is something that I've been working on the side for quite some time. And after, you know, a few months of invested time, we're getting ready to get affiliate. That's pretty neat. Both for the part of the team which runs the fish tank that you see during the day. Oh, so beautiful fish tank. I could go on about it, but just in case he's listening, I don't want him to think I'm sucking up or anything like that, but it's a really nice fish tank. Good 10, 15 years ago, I was a reef tank hobbyist myself in Central California. Fortunate enough to have some friends who were able to teach a lot of things about it, while at the same time being in a location where I was able to basically get, I guess what you would call fresh specimens from where they came into the country before they would go out to fish stores all across the U.S. And it was nice. The technology back then was definitely not as intense, but so you don't have much time to pause, although I'm looking at the stream and noticing that it is very far behind at this point. Haven't been dropping any frames, but something might be off. So what I believe has happened is I believe what happened is the game stream froze and I have been chatting all along. Put up 5 fingers. Yep. Okay, let me check something here, folks. That is no fun. Glad I warned you guys that I was newer to getting the stream set up on this machine. Let's see. Okay. I believe when I momentarily lost connection going into the dungeon, let's track. So let's see if that's going to be a continued. But it looks like we are now back. We have one more viewer than we had before, so my tales have at least been somewhat interesting. This particular challenge rift is not indicative of the way these usually go. As I said, I usually try to beat them in under 5 minutes. Usually I'm like 30 seconds over that. But it's surprising when you are chatting as well as checking 2 different monitors, a real-time monitor, gameplay monitor. No one said streaming was easy. I do know periodically they add new areas to these challenges. I'm not sure particularly. This may have just be because I haven't played in quite some time. Usually I have a fairly good idea where the exit is, and I'll go through 2 or 3 levels. I am still on the first level as far as I can tell. There's definitely a trick to doing these challenge rifts, which I have figured out and I have not been following. As a matter of fact, killing all the fodder has given me an excuse to chat. And even taking twice as long, I'm still going to have 5 minutes to go, so... As I said earlier, this is the Xbox version, which, I mean, I don't want to make anybody tune out, but it could very well be superior in some ways to the original PC version. But it does not have everything that the PC version has. Didn't have the old Tristram adventure, which is actually what got me back into the PC version. Oh, sure, put the boss on the other side. Just because I wanted to hear that old Tristram music. But much like my friend who tried to copy this particular build on Xbox, I played for a month or 2 and didn't even get half of the items that I needed. I know that there are Reddits and such where you can still trade and pay for items, but ever since pretty much the original Diablos, that seemed like a very, very shady thing. Now this is a level 50 challenge rift. I believe I'm on Torment 10, although the challenge rifts I think are separate from that. So this is the equivalent of a Torment 11.8 or something. It's been a long time since I've seen a time that slow. That's usually the amount of time that I want to actually see it take altogether. And this right here, if you look on the lower left, see that I'm able to quickly go through all of the items up. Junk. Then when I go back to town, I can just go to the vendor and just say sell all of my junk. Usually I don't do that until I'm literally out of inventory space, so that it's a much bigger process. But that was the thing that made me start leaning towards the Xbox as the slightly better platform. Diablo 3 is inventory management is such a big part of this game. Or rather, selling off your inventory is such a big game. It caught if your inventory is completely maxed. And the inventory does look very different. You have a radial menu, stuff on the side, comparisons. It's very different. But let's go ahead and head back. You could toggle it to just play old Tristram music, which I guess I could make that down. So 3.2 billion EXP, 7 million gold. Those numbers almost seem meaningless at this point. Every once in a while, I'll get a better score, and I'll be able to hold more shards. But this build is so tight that when I come to actually spend the shards, I never spend them on. I'm not sure what I would replace out of particular set. Quickly look through all. So, as I was saying, I can come up here, go to salvage, press a button, salvage everything marked as junk. This is what's left over. It's very strange. So I would like to do some more challenge rifts, but I also would like to tour out the world for. I remember first saw the way they had added the mini bosses and the keys, giving you more things to do once the game was completed. I was really excited for when I would be able to do it. Ironically, I did not beat this game maybe 2 or 3 years after it came out, plus the person who I was playing with got busy, and having gotten halfway through the last chapter, playing the whole way with him, wasn't necessarily wanting to finish it without him. Finally got the chance though. So we're gonna rampage a little bit. Right now, everything is set to, like I said, I believe 10. So we're gonna put up to 11 because we can do better. Even if I haven't played for a while, we can do way better. We are trying to find the boss, which I was under the impression showed up on the map. Perhaps I'm wrong. Definitely one of the most interesting things about the challenge rifts is just getting to see environments that weren't in the main game. Environments that they specially made just for challenge. It's one of the most mundane of the Diablo sets. Very reminiscent, going all the way back to the first one, but some of the more interesting ones that I've seen in the challenge rifts, which it's been a while, so I can't quite remember which ones impressed me most off the top of my head, are really neat. And when I came back to the game after being away for such a long time, and seeing everything which they added, seeing the treasure goblins, that nature, I apparently did not find it. It's been a while. I know we're Ariande. Not having played for a while, coming back and seeing how much polish was put into the game since being put onto the console. Obviously, a new infusion of money, a chance for them to kind of reboot after the auction house. Which, you know, that's what ruined Diablo 3 originally for me, to the point that I really couldn't even finish the main game. Like, I didn't have interest. I said, you know, my person who I was playing with got busy and went on to do other things, but I wasn't necessarily pushing him to play, because in the entirety of the period of time from purchasing the game up until the expansion or the auction house being removed, I never had a single legendary. That to me was just, I mean, to say it is criminal is obviously not the correct wording, but it was so disappointing after Diablo 1 and particularly Diablo 2. Every time you went out, you were finding new set pieces and legendaries, and I mean, my friend who I was playing with at the time, we had set up a third computer on a local multiplayer LAN for the sole purpose of having a town which we could leave running 24/7. A 2-player mini MMO, mini multiplayer online. Yeah, that's how it works. So we actually figured out a way to back up the data so we could reboot the computer. But you'd go through our town, the main town in Diablo 2, and there were just piles of gold piles of complete set-piece armors. I was a necromancer, so I did bone wall farming, if anybody's familiar with that, where you go out into empty fields and just spam bone wall over and over and over, and every time you did it, there was a percentage chance that an item would pop out of the ground. And usually it was just a potion or something small, but kind of like a digital slot machine. In there were also legendaries and set pieces and all the best things in the game. So if you just went crazy spamming Bone Wall for, 5-10 minutes, you would get good items. It wasn't balanced for that kind of usage. It was more supposed to be a cool bonus that you get every once in a while. But I think Blizzard is the #1 company when it comes to being surprised when people figure things out that they never initially intended, and then overusing that mechanic to the point where they have to rebalance the game going forward. And if you are watching the stream and you haven't given us a follow, it would be appreciated. We're only a few away from affiliate status. And probably on Friday or Saturday, we're going to be doing a gaming giveaway marathon. And what we're going to be giving away is items from BlizzCon's past. We have a preview up on our Twitter of our Arthas theme bag. And I'm also about to post one for our Diablo themed bag. Matter of fact, as soon as I take care of this, maybe I'll do that. And we'll be sending those out. We'll have everything set up with bits and follows and action box, and it'll be a good time. 142 kills. I've done better. 126 enemies before the timer expires. This particular build excels in destroying armies, literally. If you want to take on this character in a one-on-one battle, defeat them, you would have a much better chance than if you sent literally a million people against it, as it simply is on mass destruction to fuel its abilities even further. While I have a compliment, I'll send a post out with a sneak peek at our Diablo theme custom BlizzCon goodie bag. And there's obviously more items than just what, but leaving that for a surprise. I'll have a few more. So hopefully that worked out well. I never quite know how things work with tech. I'll have to check the page and just refresh it and see if it showed up down there. We're having a lot of fun putting these goodie bags together. We went to the first. It gets a little confusing. we went to the first 9 years of BlizzCons, which is the first 8 BlizzCons, because after the first year there was not a BlizzCon, or maybe it was after the second year. I believe it was 2006. There was a. So we went to 2005, 2007, all the way up through 2014, and never had anything short of a spectacular time. And we have a lot of cool items, like little toys, BlizzCon programs, which themselves have the same quality level as like the World of Warcraft magazine, if you've ever seen that. Incredibly glossy, expensive programs that are on their own enjoyable to have. Maps, and we're putting all these together in some BlizzCon bags, and we're going to give them away. There's going to be three big ones, one for each of the franchise, and then a whole bunch of little ones. BlizzCon authenticators, buttons, pins. There's even a chance need to confirm something first, but I believe we have a piece of promotional material from the year that we were able to play StarCraft Ghost. And yes, I was able to play StarCraft Ghost. It was outstanding. I wish I could tell you that it was bad. I think the problem was that it was designed, and then Blizzard has their policy for the game. It was coming out on the Xbox just as the Xbox was kind of going out. Newer technology was coming in, and by the time it was done, it was going to be dated. But running in a pack of Zerglings across a field towards Marines, and as the pack was closer together, you did more damage. It was really cool. So we have a flyer, two-sided flyer. One side had the maps that you could play while you were there, and the other side had some unit information. And we haven't quite figured out what the criteria would be, but we want to maybe do something really special if we can get a lot of followers or really good feedback during the marathon. Actually give something StarCraft Ghost. Probably the rarest thing that we can offer. A lot of the other stuff there, those first 8 BlizzCons, you couldn't get the goodie bags on. So as a result, unless you actually went, you didn't. You just couldn't. Oh, so I thought we were doing a level 50 Rift before. It was level 57. I was wondering why it seemed a touch more difficult. And 59 I've done. So I'm going to go ahead and set it to 55. Torment 12. See if it disconnects. Okay. Let's see if we can do this in under 5 minutes. I might not chat quite as much as I have been. Never ever stick around on a level unless the level is so amazingly good. There's always a better level. I think I've gone down, I want to say I've gone down 5 levels, but I know on the regular ones after 4 levels you automatically get sent back, but I do believe I made it down 5 levels once. Just random RNG, bunch of small levels with the portals all close together, really easy to find. And no mini bosses for emblems. Just churn. Here's what we're looking for. What can I say? I lived in California before I came here. And by here is Colorado. That's why it's MileHighReef, by the way. It's because we're in Denver, Mile High City. So as I was saying before, I'm a PC gamer. I'm a PC Diabloer. But the Ultimate Edition on the Xbox is just so much fun to play. It's such a visceral experience. I can't speak for others, but you know, if you're looking at this and you're thinking, huh, when I played Diablo 3, it wasn't quite that fast-paced. Part of that's my build, but actually a big part of that is the Xbox One version. It's just, ooh, oh, almost died. Dying is fairly unacceptable. Plus, this particular build, the closer I get to death, more immortal I become. We are getting some occasional skips in the audio, just because I'm using a Windows 10 headless Xbox One streaming feature. Actually, really handy. I thought I'd be able to do highest quality, which is what I believe I've done in the past, but Maybe it's the version of SlowBS I'm using. I was just getting some more skips, so I knocked it down one. Right now we're in, you know, we're not even affiliate. You have to be partner status before you can get the automatic re-encodes. Level. And once we do that, you know, obviously we're going to be streaming 1080p, 60 frames per second with a nice good frame rate. I went the wrong direction. I need to go back. Yeah. So even though this has been a pretty friendly map, I don't think I'm quite going to get 5 minutes. Which I guess chatting does take a little bit of a toll, but that's a self-imposed, obviously that is a self-imposed thing, getting it done in 5 minutes. Could always, I guess, take this slow and methodical and do an even higher level, but that seems like absolutely no fun whatsoever. Anybody wonders, I'm that. This is what they gave us instead of Zoom on the console version. Get a pillar of light. Not quite getting the enemies that I need. This particular level, this particular level tile set isn't the friendliest to my build. A lot of tight 90-degree corners. Usually the places that I excel the most are the open fields where they just throw, you know, unending. You weren't the main one? Who's got the bits? You got the bits? You guys got the bits. Up. Escape death yet another day. I would have left it on 57, but there is definitely a small toll. So 9:16, we're about to summon the end guy, and I'm probably about 30 seconds longer than my usual, assuming that I don't die right now. And that's just because I have a hard time improving on this build without just slowly getting paragon levels. And some people might say, well, make a new build. Well, I have made new builds, but nothing comes even close to the one-person devastation power that this particular one offers. Also, when we play some World of Warcraft during the marathon, it's interesting. I've really only played one character since World of Warcraft's release. 8 minutes, 22 seconds. So, a minute. Jump. Honestly, even the legendaries are, for the most part, junk, because I have an inventory full of most of the good ones already, like most people at this game a bunch. Invigorating Gemstone, Goric of Swiftness, and Molten Gizzards are the three items that I use the most. And it's usually pretty easy to get 500% chances running this level. Speed. Trying to level up the character that I made on the PC to try to replicate this so I could do the only has like 50% chances, and if I had just one person who'd run me through a level, like I could run somebody through a level and suddenly drop a couple billion experience on their head. I'd probably get up to where I need it a lot quicker. Guess I should probably take a moment. Some points. It's funny, because as I was just talking about how intuitive this interface is, I haven't used it in a while. So 100%. The muscle memory. But even this, just a second. One of the nice things about my follower is I got the your follower cannot die ability. That's why she gets to come. Okay. 2.7 billion, a little bit less because we went down 2 levels. Speed was obviously up, but still down, and that's the reason why I didn't get higher shards. I think in order to get a new time, I have to get 4 minutes and seconds or something like that. But let's run out into the world again. The high heavens. Let's see. Okay, now I could talk about the deck. Let's go see if we can't find effective hatred. All right. That was not what I intended to press. Once more. There we are. So if you guys didn't notice earlier, I happen to have the bird wings, which you can only get by just literally grinding the hell out of the heaven, which as I was putting that sentence together in my head, I was like, huh, not sure how often those words have been used. Yeah, grinding the hell out of heaven, but I just got a Archival Studies achievement, which I believe is from finding all of the books in Chapter 4. It's kind of cool. But yeah, I believe it's the Silver Spire. Chests only spawn in a few particular places. Or sorry, not the Silver Spire, that's where we are now. The Gardens. And I ran those over and over and over to try to get these wings. Because on my original PC version, I had the original Collector's Edition, which are always super nice. Ever feel like you went direction? Because I sure did. Or not. Oh yeah, I think I did. I think I went backwards. No biggie. I kind of want to get some, go out there and get some treasures. I haven't done that in a while. For the most part, if I recall, I'm almost completely immune to all status effects that impair movement, like freeze and things like that. It's been a while since I've actually looked over all the aspects of the build. Jump, jump. Just head back to town. We'll mass identify all this stuff. Sorry for missing that comment before. Buddy of mine just asked me if I was going to be playing the classic WoW, which is something that I would like to do. Which brings up kind of an interesting point, because I was an alpha tester for the original WoW. I actually played WoW for almost a year and a half before it was released. Matter of fact, I think it's like a year. Really, really close. And there are some really cool stories from that time. Some really cool things which folks don't know about the way things were planned, the way things were be. And I have no idea if that stuff is yeah, no, I agree. It looks really cool. Like I wanna relive that. But yeah, I'd like to recount some of those alpha experiences if I'm allowed to. That's pretty much, though, at the discretion of Blizzard. If I don't hear back from Blizzard's legal department, where I was officially referred to by the support team, then I'm probably just going to hold off and I'll tell some stories from it. Like my buddy was saying, a lot of people almost consider vanilla, the first expansion. A lot of people get a chance to play it. Some of the events, like fighting to clear the Dark Portal, are actually really, really epic at the time. MMOs in general hadn't done stuff like that. And having the actual geometry of the world change, a sort of a timed exclusive event before it changed even more, with some of the first, like, I keep making that same mistake, with some of the first, what you could call event gear, when you were fighting to clear the Dark Portal, you would get drops of what basically looked like druid clothing that anybody could use. It's not very good, but collected it. And that was also where the haunted mementos came from. And if you don't know about the haunted mementos, it was a small object which you could throw at somebody, and the ghost would start following. And there's no notification that it showed up in your inventory. It would just kind of be there, and then you could throw it and give it to somebody else. They weren't account bound. As a matter of fact, if you have one and you accidentally click on somebody, you're probably not going to get it back. So when everybody had a bunch of them and they were throwing them all over the place, that was pretty cool. But once the event ended and everybody realized that it was impossible to get them again, they became much more sought after. And I think that they could be on the auction house. I don't recall if they could be on the auction house or not. It just so happens that mine ended up on my one alt character. It's a Death Knight. And unless I would like to spend a bunch of money to reunite that character with my main character, I'm not going to be using that particular haunted memento anytime soon. And honestly, considering how much I've been playing recently, that kind of money for one little pickup would be a little silly. But if I do get the go-ahead from Blizzard to talk about stuff from Alpha and Beta, I'm probably going to do a more serious WoW series, because I know some folks at Blizzard, or rather I know a lot of folks at Blizzard, who started working there after the third BlizzCon I've been to. And they don't even, know these stories, most likely. There'd be far too many to tell. Also really interesting the way the game evolved and the art evolved. I'm being really careful not to say anything bad. And you might think, oh, wasn't that, quite some time ago? I guess maybe that would be 12 years ago at this point. But if the non-disclosure agreement, said this is something that is in perpetuity unless we change it, then that's the way it is. They do actually still have the original non-disclosure agreement for World of Warcraft, the alpha, somewhere. It was like 14 pages. I had to fax it in. So I guess I could just look and see if it expired. But like I told the Blizz team when I emailed them, I was like, I'm more interested in how you guys feel, like if you're cool with this, because I don't think I've seen people talking about ever forget how to get the map. I don't think I've seen people talking about the alpha in the past. And the one time that I actually did post about something that happened in the alpha in the official forums, it's just kind of like a, oh ho ho ho, you know, this reminds me of this one thing. I remember going back later thinking I would have some interesting comments and could not find the post at all. It wasn't like the post was you know, too far back. It was completely removed. Not even moderated, just gone. And so ever since then I've been a little leery about posting some of these secrets. I guess in the map it's not something which I get to have. I feel confused that I can't find the map. I feel that that's something I should be able to do right now. But with this character, in Diablo 3 Ultimate Edition, I would like to keep playing it. It is a little bit of a dead-end character for me because I don't know how to really improve it. I'd like to go back to playing the PC version and piecing together the set, because the PC version just has more stuff, more cool stuff, more events. It doesn't really seem like it until something like, you know, Old Tristram happens, and you realize that you're not going to see that content. Oh. Let's see. Now the treasure goblins, the new treasure goblins, was definitely one of the coolest things that they added. In particular, the one which actually sends you to the vault, Greed's vault. As someone who's into 3D modeling and art and game design, the first time I saw Greed's vault, I literally just sat there looking at it for about 5 minutes, walking up and down the stairs, checking out how they put all the perspective together. Yeah, it's really well done. And it's nice to see a game which almost came across as a failure at the start. Like I mentioned earlier, coming out on console gave this a chance at a reboot, a chance to start over with expected legendary drop rates, without the real money auction house, and with the lessons learned. And a lot of games and a lot of game companies don't have the opportunities to do that with titles. And even Blizzard, you know, that's Adventures of Warcraft, StarCraft Ghost, Warcraft Adventures, I think, StarCraft Ghost, Titan. These were all projects which were assumed would be big hits, and then they just changed their mind. If Diablo 3 hadn't been resurrected, it probably would have been not a big hit to, well, obviously a big hit to Blizzard as a company, but I think it would have been a bigger hit to the development culture that existed at Blizzard that tried to make this game come out. And you know, I remember some of the press and some of the animosity between the old developers and the new developers. But overall, it was a success. I think I just went to Diablo. Yeah. It's been a while. I got lost. Diablo level 55? It might be a little bit of a fight. Might just take a minute. And there's one of these things where they call it the Mandala effect, or the Bernstein Bears effect, where you remember something and you're not really sure if that's the way it was originally. And when I first played this game with my buddy, and we played Diablo, and we both seemed to remember this, halfway through the fight, you know, no spoilers, I'm sure you all know this, Diablo takes you to the Diablo zone, which apparently needs Or did the game crash? This is unexpected. Okay. So in our memory, the very first time we came and we did this, there were 2 Shadows of Diablo. And it was insanely difficult. And then later on it seemed to be rebalanced so that there was just one. And I have never been able to quite get a confirmation from anybody that that is what they remembered, other than my buddy, who seems to vaguely remember that as well. Oh, you're getting achievements left and right. I don't know what that one was for. It is kind of fun to pick up a game that you haven't played after some time and still be getting achievements. Some people would say that means I wasn't an efficient achievement hunter, but those people aren't actually here right now. I can't hear them. Oh. Ability was that. I mentioned earlier in the stream that this particular build is designed to kill armies, not kill one-on-one opponents, where it does not do as well. Not even close to as well. And this is an example. That's why I said that this particular fight, I didn't necessarily want to do it first, simply because the Diablo fight takes a longer time for this build than it would for someone else. That was pretty much a direct hit. But put me in a field with 10 groups of elite packs, and I died. That happens so rarely. I haven't seen it in such a long time. I did say level 55 Diablo might be a little bit much for this particular build after having only played once in the that was 2 days ago, and then I probably haven't played a year or so prior to that. Okay, I'm going to concentrate a little bit more. If I actually pay attention to the numbers on my buff bar, I can use my abilities more efficiently. It's just my character is just so insanely powerful. I don't usually need to, which is, of course, you know, you always can just turn it up to another torment, which is what I was in the process of doing last time I played. So probably pretty soon get a few more Paragon levels. You know, start playing on Torment 12. Get up to Rift level 60. And that's because I just find the end game content that they added fun. I've been to the secret realms. It's really cool when they show up. The challenge rifts are very cathartic, especially when you get just the right combinations of levels in a row, and you know, you blow through them really, really fast. Like I said, I think the fastest that I had ever done one at max difficulty was something like 4 minutes and 40 seconds. But I did bring one of my buddies on one of these once, and I told him, I said, just you hang back. Don't worry about killing things. The things which I don't kill, you know, you work on them. And by the time I beat the boss, I think he had killed 2 of the half-dead creatures I had left behind, and then got so much EXP that went up, you know, an insane number of levels, became insanely powerful, and then it was just a matter of, you know, getting the right gear, getting the right equipment. Also, this game is really, really nice about letting you know where they're going to target stuff. So, standing right in the middle of the circle that says, hey, you're about to get boned is not very smart. And as you can see, this playthrough, paying just slightly more attention to what's going on. It's definitely going much, much better. assuming everything went correctly, there should have been a post not too long ago showing a sneak peek at the Diablo-themed BlizzCon goodie bag that we're going to be giving away for our affiliate gaming giveaway marathon. And since I am fighting Diablo, and a lot of the items that come in that particular goodie bag feature this particular model and character, it's come to mind. For those of you seeing the large blue circle, that is actually me, whereas all the other circles are Diablo. Anything inside that blue circle is blind, deaf, and dumb, and it's quite a large circle. It's handy. All right, so just about wrap this guy up. Okay, there. A little bit, 3 more smacks. There we go. Without question, very satisfying epic death animation. The first time we beat Diablo, it was difficult. It felt very, very worth it. Of course, you know, you kill the Lord of Terror, and this is everything that we get. Doesn't quite match up to doing treasures. Challenge Rift. Fun. Well concerned. Alright. Better location. Chat. Spot. There we go. Old 805, not sure what it was that you remember. Oh, you remember Titan. Yeah, I remember Titan too. A mutual friend of ours who actually worked at Blizzard was kind of supposed to get us into the... I was in the Friends and Family testing program for World of Warcraft. Tried to get into the Friends and Family program for Titan. Man, I wish I could have experienced that one. Did get to play StarCraft Ghost. Oh, I do have that claim to fame. But it would have been really interesting to see more of what Titan was or what they turned it into. Especially since what it's become since then is obviously even more different. Okay, let's go do something. Or the challenge. Let's try to do another one of these. Good empowered. Try a level 59. Might die, might not. What happens? So as I was saying earlier, there's definitely a trick and a formula. Level 59 with chatting is probably not going to do well for me. There's a definite formula for doing these quickly and successfully, which this one is not going to be. And that is that for the most part, the only things which are really useful for raising the timer bar is, you know what? I think I'm just not quite ready for level 59 right now. The only things which really significantly raise that timer bar. Can we make it go away? Is that I've never tried to do that. Maybe if I travel. The only thing which significantly raises the timer bar is really the tokens which are dropped by the elite bosses. And the rest of them, if you pass them over, you're not really missing out on anything. Matter of fact, the faster you can get to the next portal follows me. The faster you can get to the next boss and the next group of mods, faster that you can. The faster you can get more tokens, the faster you can get out, the faster that you finish it, more shards you get, etc., etc. I'm seriously not sure how to. My headpiece changed? But I probably lost durability. Probably. Okay. Let's check something out. Huh. I cannot. Items are changed color. Very. Repair. How about now? Huh. Oh, because I have the portal open, Rift, which I can't figure out how to close. Let's try brute force. Never got the Necromancer pack on the Xbox. I did on the PC. All in all, I've been so spoiled by this particular character, particular build. That is what I keep trying to get back to. I think maybe that was one of the differences between PC. PC, you can expand the map to transparent cover. Either I'm simply forgetting how, which is very, very possible. Something that you could do. Okay, I'm gonna try to get a treasure chest. So to get a treasure chest, I have to do the bounties. And to get the bounties, let's show bounty objectives. Also, I believe I can get rid of my. No. That really looks much better. Very friendly, Crusaders, you know, good guys, good folks, good solid folks. All right. Okay. This is what was missing before. The reason why I was wandering out a bit aimlessly. There were no yellow arrows conveniently telling me where to go. So let's see how fast we can get this treasure chest. And if it looks like we're going to make good time, we'll go ahead and get all 5. Actually, I don't know if they still do that. Is there still a bonus if you get all 5 treasure chests before opening them in the same game? Thank the folks who've stopped by. I haven't seen any complaints in chat, so I'm assuming that the volume levels have been pretty much okay. Well, you know, I'll check out the recording of the stream later. I would like to promote these a little bit more. Some really good Reddit groups are cool about promoting streams just by having a dedicated stream promotion area. Works out really well. Do I want to do a dungeon or just want to concentrate on chests? I'll do dungeon. Sometimes they're one room. Yeah, it doesn't say floor 1, so... It is somewhat difficult to keep an eye on the chat while playing. I'd like to eventually have the Discord set up while these things are going on. Yeah, these are the groups I was talking about. My character particularly excels at. One chest. It wasn't really worth it. Probably should have just gone on to the main chest, but... And there's the bounty portal. Oh, clear the cursed shrines. The first time I did the bounties, I was catching up after quite a few patch revisions away. This one screwed me up more than once. There we go. Now just finish them off. My follower has some interesting items. Something I had noticed was that some magical items that you give followers continue to work as if you were using them yourself, and some of them don't. The staff that she's using right now. I lost focus. Fleeing effect on that one actually does work, which is pretty useful for crowd control when you're dealing with big groups. Yeah, this is pretty much the only follower I use. Might have just been because she was fortunate enough to be the one that that got the will not die special item. Won't deny that I enjoy that. Okay, so that's the first bounty. Let's go ahead and move on. This is an interesting one when you get it in a challenge rift, because of the portals and the doorways. Because there's nothing quite like trying to do something very, very fast, and then continuously getting frozen in place. But without question, the environmental art teams, not only just the original teams, but the ones that expanded Diablo 3, just really had amazing sense of style. The fact that these are tile sets, which can be randomly put together, even though this is not one of those. As I mentioned earlier, I do 3D art, do 3D design. Just playing Blizzard games is very inspirational. I actually watch the behind-the-scenes DVDs that come with the collector's editions, and have learned things from them. They'll be, doing interviews with Samwise or other artists, and they say some little thing, which, to everybody else, they're just a part of the interview, but then I hear it and I go, oh, really? That's how you do that particular thing and make it work out well for you. And in a couple occasions, that's even gotten, trouble isn't the right word, but it's led to some confusion, as I believe that the proper way of doing some aspects of game development were basically the shortcuts, which I had heard in developer interviews. And when I then tried to employ those on my own, it's not that they didn't work, it was just that the people I was working with were a little confused. In this particular instance, I'm referring to, I was trying to get a piece of concept art done for a game which I'm working on. And the guys kept saying, well, I need to know more information. I said, okay, well, let me just do the 3D model, and I'll do the basic texturing, and once I have the scene all set up with camera and everything, I'll send it back to you and you concept art. And this was on Fiverr. I believe the person I was speaking to is in Ukraine, and the confusion was palpable, as he was under the impression that he was going to make I was going to give him an idea. He was going to turn that into a piece of concept art, which I would then turn into a 3D piece. When in reality, I was wanting to do a 3D piece, hand it off to him, and have him make it as if it was originally a piece of concept art, then I made it basically the reverse order. So yeah, so because of learning that before I even went to school, I always had this impression that concept art was something that you did after you were done with your 3D modeling, as an artistic way of showing what like the ideal of what it would look like, if you had all of the time and skill in the world. And it's still something which I intend to do. Actually, I talked to another concept artist and explained that to them, and they were like, oh yeah, I can give you a much better deal if that's the case, if there's no conceptualization. Again, when I'm talking about world design, this right here, Malthael's tomb, or whatever you want to call it, there's just so much good about this. I could sit here and look at this for a little while. I'm sure that you guys are less interested in that. So let's go ahead and take down Malthael. I'm not even sure if he was the bounty. Originally, the nickname for this character was Bride of Malthael. Although the character's actual name is Kazi, which is my cat's name. But the joke was, that this character's so good at what it does of reaping of the souls that, it would have put Malthael to shame. But there's that one part at the very, very end of the game where they're talking about how the power of the Nephilim is so great that in the future, they might actually become the danger. I died again. The second boss I died to. I'm not paying proper attention. But Tyrael basically makes a comment that eventually the Nephilim may prove to be more dangerous than he could handle, and then the joke was that it's because he was going to marry the Nephilim, assuming that you had a female Nephilim, or that you had a male Nephilim who was gay, and yeah, make his life miserable in that way. So that is how my character became Kazi, Bride of Tyrael. Famous in my own mind, but just so much fun to play. And if I was to lower the difficulty just a couple of settings, I wouldn't have to pay attention at all. That's really not as much fun. So there's definitely a little bit more challenge where you're streaming and you're chatting, while still wanting to keep the game from being too easy. Because wow, I am definitely feeling a little bit of a pinch this time. That blindness field can sometimes be humorous when you're fighting big bosses and they literally turn around and they're just like, I have no idea where he could have gone. It's a mystery. I remember from earlier attempts at this fight with a less good build, it's better to make use of the healing wells when you have the opportunity. Simply so that they will recharge for when you do need them. Oh. Price you pay. Not having played in a while and chatting to him. Is this actually my bounty? Let's give it one more shot. So I didn't really say at the start of the stream because I wasn't exactly sure how things would go technically in other aspects. I was planning on streaming for 2 hours. So about another half hour probably. Might not have enough time to get all of the treasures, but I'll see if I can at least get the treasures for this chapter. Assuming that Malthael is... Yeah, there it is right on the side of the screen. Kill Malthael. Okay, so this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But I'm not doing as good as I could be at all. Another thing that I noticed when you come away from a game and then you come back for a while is that they continue to balance these things. And sometimes the balancing goes or outpaces your experiences. And I can't think of a particularly good example, other than I don't seem to remember having this much trouble defeating Malthael in the past. There we go. Ow. Well, I said I'd give it one more try and then move on to something else, and I will stick with that because. Life's too short to die 4 times to the same boss. As always, I had some points that I could have applied. So let's try to do that now. Sell off our... do a mass salvage. It's been a while since I've needed the salvage, but it's mostly for getting gears for the followers. So that was correct as far as getting the rewards, but let's go back to Tristram. Should have stash stored. I'm looking for the item that opens up the secret cow level. So I have not seen it in a very, very long time. Cow King's level, Staff of Herding. Supposed to have a better staff. But it, you know, order. Or was that? I don't know. Let's see. Staff of Herding. Get a better Staff of Herding. Staff. There we are. Huh. For some reason I remember that being upgradable. But perhaps I'm wrong. Mass identify. And see if we can find Cow King. Oh, a new transmog. That means a new item. Happens as often. Oh, I jumped. Exactly sure what that transmog was. The corrupted Ashbringer. It is always interesting to see chance and kill to raise a skeleton to fight for you. On a cumulative 5 skeletons, they each explode for 1000% weapon damage, and the sword transforms into Ashbringer for attacking with Ashbringer burns your enemy. 5461%. Seems like there would be a good build for that. It's hard to say. There were other new trends. So maybe the bovine Bardich was the other. Sometimes I get confused with the stuff that I found on the PC versus the stuff that chance I hit summon a herd of murders. It's almost like they knew I was going to the cow level. But as far as if any of these are worth, yeah, save the corrupted Ashbringer. Sell off the rest. Repair everything. Oh, this is the other one. Interesting. I am not 100% sure I have seen that particular. I am rather fond of this one, but sometimes it doesn't transmog. Alright. To you. It's definitely slightly less menacing. But whatever, run around with it for a little while. Let's go find the Cow King. I think it's actually easy. Just teleport to... But I want to... Boulder and backtrack. It'd be nice to go to someplace like Wimshire, but just can't just go there whenever you want. There we are. There he is. All right, let's go to the Cow King. My apologies if you are missing the Cow King's mooing voice. The nature of my play style, the fact that you cannot turn off error messages on Xbox version. I'm not sure if you can on the PC, but you can in World of War. It's easier. Here we are in Wimshire. Said you just couldn't go to Wimshire. Apparently I was thinking it. Now I'm not sure. The one that you get to with the one particular treasure goblin with the super rare chance for the super rare stuff. Scientific names. Now I'm trying to remember how to get to its wort. There is still a cow level with this game. I think you get to it through with Wert's leg. I don't remember. I don't remember all the secrets. What's the event? That was not a difficult event. Yeah, Wimshire is the Cow King version. The rare version, I think I've only seen it 3 or 4 times, but I can't recall what the name is. Thinking through some things. the Wimshire level has a particular secret. I'm trying to remember what it was. I got lost in thought for a minute. I just remembered. It's I believe they're butterfly wings that have a star field behind some sort of super iridescent portal wings, which would be really cool, but I mean, just after grinding to get the bird wings, that was insanity enough. By far. Oh, let's see what you drop. The thought of trying to grind something, which in itself, just the very chance to even have the area spawn to give it a try, it's like a 1 in 100 of 1 in 100 of 1 in 100. That's like the time lost protodrake in World of Warcraft in Northrend, where you realize that the name is a pun on how much time it would take you to actually find it. And I actually tried for a while. I even had a program that would check for spawned IDs to see if it was actually active, and then the routes where it would go. You had to actually fight it in midair, and then either survive the fall or get it down to the ground. And I heard more than one story of people actually fighting it, killing it, dying. As far as this version of Wimshire, it's just a level. Just a very, very bright level. Same chance of some rare stuff as pretty much anywhere else. I used to be really thorough when I would come across these, but after doing so many challenge rifts, definitely a little bit more of a straight to the punch when it comes to what I want to get as far as rewards. And that's what the Diablo games have always been about. They've always been about getting the legendaries, getting the rares, getting the set pieces, getting the cool stuff. And that's why the game in the beginning just wasn't what it is now. Yeah, it looks like we're just about up on 2 hours. So this works out perfectly. Not the most epic of finishes, but it is kind of cool to see Wimshire. Not everybody has done the quest, to unlock it. I'm guessing, considering that some of the people who are watching this right now are probably people who are wanting to get it on Switch. And I don't think anybody's playing this on Switch on Twitch right now, because you need a Twitch switch. No. Just see the whole thing. Still haven't quite figured. Seems like it should be. Where's the map? Oh, did I find the map? I found the map. I'm a doof. Okay, well, you know what? That's good enough. Missed that spot in the middle. It's probably where the rarest item in the game is. I'll leave it for the next guy. So let's see. There's a key bounty on this level. Way over there. And that's not bothered. But let's check out these basements. Wondered if there was someone out there who saw Diablo 3 Bride of Tyrael and either thought it was a new expansion announced at BlizzCon that I hadn't heard of, or that I myself was a hot Twitch female. Which I don't know if you noticed, I'm actually not. But my character's nickname is Bride of Juriel. You know, because he's got the wings and yeah. And the StarCraft pauldrons. I love the fact that I actually managed to find a look that incorporated those. Some of the cosmetic-only items that they have in this game are sick. Just follow the road back to Tristram. Should anything be foolish enough to get in our way? We'll explode them. Back whence we came. Here's actually a little bit of trivia. Originally, this was not a separate zone from the rest of the game. It's contiguous with the loading screen. Very, very start of the game, you open up the bridge and you go across. As you can see right here, it's a loading screen. This was not a loading screen before. Actually just went across the bridge and it's connected directly to here. The problem is that people discovered that if they went across the bridge and they got a train of enemies coming back with them, they could actually lead the train back into town, which the game designed for, though that was not intended. So a couple updates in, this became a loading screen. To tell you the truth, I liked it. I always liked going across the wood bridge. It was a cool way to start your quest going out. This felt a little bit of like they couldn't just put an invisible wall. Like no, like 3 people tried it. Well, folks, it's been 2 hours. I know there were a few hurdles at the very, very start. It turned out that when I was inputting the bitrate, did not overwrite. So instead of putting in 2,500, I put in 3,250,000, and for some reason, just wasn't playing right. Thank you all for joining. There's the camera. We're going to be doing more games in the future. As soon as we get affiliate, we're going to be doing that marathon. We're going to be giving away some really cool things from old BlizzCon, including a BlizzCon bag, and it would be a BlizzCon goodie bag if it didn't have some really glossy adverts or computer hardware, which is now chocolate. So I hope anybody watching this tunes in. Keep an eye on our Twitter and Twitch for when we're going to do that, and also keep an eye out for stuff we'll be giving away. So thank you all. See you next time. Some more. Night all.